else is thumbs upping. Yay! We've gone on a long journey. I found screen wipes and Gatorade. What did you guys bring back from your magical journey?
I sat here and messed up the intermission. But that's all.
Was it muted?
No, it wasn't muted, but I brought up the video to play, and then I switched screens as I was tabbing, forgetting that was the video I was playing, so everybody else got to see like the stuff that I look at when I'm, doing the show. That's all.
Also,
bow ties are cool. Bow ties are so cool.
We have ZoranTheBear with us now, coming live. He's on call. You won't be able to see video, but you should hear him.
Yeah, sadly, I don't own that webcam thing.
It just makes his voice sound cooler, I think. That's why he doesn't go with the webcam thing.
It gives you the illusion.
Yeah, it's disembodied voice.
You should just put a picture of a bear head and just have it float around the stream, and then everyone will know how magical it is.
All right.
I think I can do that, if you're really interested.
I can give you an image.
That's awesome.
Last time I heard that did not end out well for me.
That's what I was thinking, like, I don't know. It's going to be one of those, pick.
Oh, sure. Do it across my face. I see how you are.
As Zoran's so huge across the stream. I guess we will pick up our topic where we left off. Flatus, do you want to sort of give us like a real quick summary in your position once more?
Yeah. I mean, as a position, I'm not saying that I side with World of Warcraft or anything like that. I'm just saying as a player, and as many games as I've played, and I played a lot of them. I think I've grown and matured as a player, and I think a lot of us have in the chat. From what I've noticed, I think a lot of people have agreed that we're ready for innovation. And I hate to say it, there are still plenty of people out there that are afraid of change, and they were like, I will never leave Warcraft, and that's all I know. And I almost feel bad for them in a sense. Like I don't want to feel like they could be great people.
I don't know if that's your standpoint. Then just stay at World of Warcraft. I mean, if people are happy with that, then
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're happy, you're happy. I'm not going to tell you not to be that way. I'm not a jerk. I'm like, if you're happy playing that game, listen. If you're happy doing that, do that. Like that's your game. But I'm ready for change. And if Sony ushers in the new era of MMOs with EverQuest next, and we're in the ground floor to see how it happens. And just to see in their mindset, kind of just because we can kind of see their mindset and how their thought process is, and if they seem to do what Warcraft did in their new innovation, that'd be cool. Just to see hey, listen, we did it, but we did it our own way. That'd be kind of cool for me.
There's a couple things. I think the biggest difference for me, of course, I want change, but I think it's the catalyst to change is where I see the difference from what you were talking about earlier, Flatus. I don't see the change coming from studios that just now all of a sudden want to be good and be wholesome and want to innovate for innovation. Maybe SOE does see that, but a lot of it has to do with the gravy train running dry. There's so many WoW games that have copied the formula that just aren't doing well today, or not as well as they thought they do. You have Star Wars: The Old Republic. You have a lot of games that have tried to copy this formula lately that just are not succeeding where studios thought they would succeed. And I think that's the biggest catalyst for change. But I also see that crowdfunding really has altered the way we see possibilities for MMOs. Because one problem that I always had with MMOs was the fact that they tried to do everything. MMO wasn't like its own subgenre, really. It tried to capture a single-player experience. It tried to capture a multiplayer experience. It tried to capture this, tried to capture that. Tried to capture too much, and that made it so generic. Now you see a lot of micro games popping up, and huge games like Star Citizen and stuff like that. But you see a lot of different types of games with different focuses being able to come to the forefront because of this sort of Kickstarter environment. And I see Sony, kind of taking that by the heel and really trying to come out on the forefront of it. But I don't know if all studios are. I mean, you still have WildStar, you still have the Elder Scrolls Online. These still are sticking to the same old formula. It's not changing much at all. Are they cash grabbing? I don't think so. But I don't know if they really see the trend or the change that should be happening. I don't know.
Something that I ideally want the industry to go back to is actually pick a proper target group, just like back in the old days. People who preferred questing and raiding were in EQ. People who wanted to be in a space environment more sandboxy were in Star Wars Galaxies. People who loved guild versus guild raiding and sieging castles were in Lineage 2 or Asheron's Call or stuff like that. Like, the only games that are really having like a very specific target group are more of the niche MMOs, which are all very successful in their own little space. Like, they're not gonna have millions of subscribers, but they're still gonna make their money off their recently cheap development costs. And like, I'm to a point where I wonder, like, how many more Star Wars: The Old Republic's, Elder Scrolls Online games of like more than 150 million need to fail before we start downscaling and actually start just building the stuff that groups need again? Because like, sure, it's expensive to make
MMOs are
a game,
expensive
but it
no matter
yeah,
what.
well, but
we have to admit that they're
but
very
why-
expensive to make.
but why does Elder Scrolls need to spend 150 million where
True.
a game like Rift is built in 50 million? What is that 100 million gap? Like, and that is
Voiceovers
something
and stuff,
that-
I guess. But yeah.
that is something that we will never know, but you can do a lot with less money if you set specific goals, if you don't build everything in your game. But
I
if you
agree.
want to sell it to everyone, like age range from 14 till 65, raider to non-raider, PvEer to non-PvEer, role player to non-role player, raider to non-raider, then I can understand that you're wasting a lot of resources.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think that is something that one of the failures of developers is people like doing this in MMOs, and so we'll include it in our MMO when their target population, maybe is a fraction of only a fraction of that population might be interested in it, but yet they use those resources to develop something.
Yeah, for
If I
sure.
may.
Oh, go ahead, by all means.
I'm sorry, I needed a refresher on the topic, but from a lot of MMOs that happen today, they usually stick with a formula that is mainly make your character, do quests, level up the max, then when you get the max level, do only raiding or PvP. And there are the side things of role-playing and crafting and everything else, and that is not something that a lot of people have focused on.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe that a lot of MMOs need to switch to. And the problem right now is that they're only stuck on that raider mentality. Of course, back in the day, I played Dark Age of Camelot and everything else, and with World of Warcraft, and I did nothing but just raid and then raid and then raid. But during the time of around Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm of World of Warcraft, I really got into role-playing. And from that point on, I clearly could not find any other MMO that could offer that. The problem is because no other MMO is afraid to break from that raider formula, because there's nothing but you must go do dungeons, must go do everything else. And with questing and everything else, no one has ever advanced that. Guild Wars 2 tried to advance that with their whole, you can just do it when you get to it or something. But it's nothing but a disguised quest giver. You pretty much have to go to that area to do that event instead of it going, here's a random dragon in the field. It's not that dynamic at all. Sure, it has a set of things of events, but if you ever played Dark Messiah, or I believe some other games, really old game, basically in multiplayer, you would advance in tiers and it would push back on you if you failed to advance better than them. And I feel that we need to start, what EverQuest next needs to start doing is really starting to concentrate on the stuff that is not that raider mentality. Start to go for the adventure of the game. And we have other topics to talk about, right? further.
This is the after hour. You can go on.
Yeah, this is
you're
after
talking-
hour.
We
Just-
can
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about whatever
This is a big
the
old
hell
hour
we
rant.
want.
Real
Okay.
quick, Zoran, I wanna high five you on mentioning Guild Wars 2, just because I completely agree with you. They tried to say they heralded this new way of questing, and I agree with you that it was completely disguised. Instead of showing you numbers that you had to pick up, like it was questing hubs, but they didn't say they were questing hubs because everything on that field was a heart. So you went to that heart and you did specific things for that person. And it's like, oh, go clean up the field. It never told you how many ghosts you had to kill. You just had to fill up the bar. And once the bar was filled, then you knew you completed that person's criteria for whatever. And then when you got the golden heart, you moved on to another area for the golden heart that was empty on your thing. And you did all the quests there. And it was just quest hubs, just disguised without numbers. They were just bars you filled
Right.
up.
And rather than turning in the quest, they would mail you the quest reward. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was just a clever disguise. And like, listen, it was a trap. It was a trap. It was a clever ruse, and people fell for it. And
The
people.
hills are not down.
Exactly. It's exactly it.
It's true though. No, it's totally true. Yeah.
That was great.
Not to say that the PvP in that game is bad, but Guild Wars is a PvP based game, and the PvP in Guild Wars is a lot of fun.
I enjoy PvP in Guild Wars better than Guild Wars 2.
And you know
Yeah.
what? I'll give you that too.
I really liked Guild Wars 1. I don't know. It was more unique. Guild Wars 2 just kind of dropped the formula. It became an MMO.
Hated Guild Wars 2. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was a good game.
To me,
It was
I
alright.
feel like they should have just given you a no leveling sort of thing. Like you could have gone and done that stuff for like gear or cosmetic items, and like just do your story for like an epic weapon at the end of it.
I'm
And just
gonna
cut out-
say one thing.
Go ahead.
And like Holy Trinity. And I hope SV proves me wrong, but I don't think I'm gonna enjoy a game that doesn't have some form of the Holy Trinity. I think it's a dated system, and I think we should have innovated sooner. And I think we as players shouldn't have accepted it as for as long as we did. But using that as a base is still very important for me.
I think there's a difference between Holy Trinity and what I think you want. Classes
I
should
want class
be able. No,
dependency.
classes should be able to support each other. They should all have sort of roles, but they should all sort of be able to mix and match. It shouldn't be like Guild Wars where everyone has a heal and everyone just kind of DPSs, or DCUO everyone kind of DPSs with a little utility. But
Let's not call it Holy Trinity then. But let's
exactly,
call it-
Holy Trinity is very defined. It relies on that AI where you have a tank and they hold aggro. And we're not going to have that, in
But
EQ Next.
like
Um,
what the Holy Trinity was designed for is still what it is. It is classes and players being dependent on each other,
yeah.
and the dynamic that provides into a game. Like, a game needs to have that. Guild Wars doesn't have that.
Not at all.
I mean,
no, I'm sorry, Glass. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, I mean, I'm okay with I think we need to innovate on the Holy Trinity. I think we need to make sure we have support classes. I think that I love having a person that plays a bard class. I think that's so cool that you have somebody that sits there and supports like in a different form. Like I love those people that say I want to do something that helps the party in the sense that like I can help make sure that mana's up and help make sure that people are getting buffs and stuff. Like I add to the party that way. I think that we miss a lot of that. I think there's something that we miss from like, oh, there's always all you need is tank, DPS, and healer. All you need is tank, DPS, and healer. And I think we need to bring back the support role. The person, like, because there's people out there that love support roles. I know people that just love them to death. Like they want nothing more than have the support role dedicated in the
If
game.
I may,
Go ahead.
if I may raise my hand, I was actually that very person because I used to play Rift, and in fact, one of the first times that I was ever on a podcast was for a roleplay section on a Rift podcast, and they asked me like before, like, what do you play or whatever, because they didn't understand roleplay, so I had to explain it. And what I said, like, I'm a bard, and they were just shocked that I would even play that. Like, why aren't you DPSing? Why are you
That was
because
such a horrible soul.
I just like to play my freaking flute and enhance everybody. The problem is because I was a dwarf like bard, and I would just go to taverns and just kind of write various songs and just crappily play my little lute. But the problem that a lot of MMOs have, and Rift had this problem as well, is that although the bard in there was sort of useful, no one really wanted a bard when I was doing it, because they would prefer a straight up DPS, a straight up healer, or straight up tank if they could fill that slot. And for EverQuest next, with the whole multi-classing and everything, with all the different abilities, I believe Guild Wars 2 also had this sort of system. It's still fuzzy with me. I'm still playing the game, trying to learn it so I can have a better idea. But I believe that in Guild Wars 2, that when you did something on another person's ability, that it would turn into something else or do another effect.
It was limited, but yeah.
Yeah, like say for example that I'm sorry, but let me. Like, say for example, I draw a line, which is basically a big shield wall, not like an invisible one like the Guardian does in Guild Wars 2, but pretty much like an actual wall, like an ice wall if you played Smite and know what Ymir does. Big ice wall, bam. But what if I fired something at it, let's say a lightning bolt or something, and then it charges that wall, and then that wall is now like an electrical wall, and whoever touches it gets electric damage or something. Like, something like that needs to be implemented to where the people can synergize with each other, but at the same time, if I choose to be that bard, every time I buff somebody or heal somebody, it's as if I'm buffing them up as if there was just another DPS or another healer or something. Like, to buff up everyone else, so my power gets into them instead of me having to have all the power.
I completely agree with you. That's what I was going to add, actually. You know, I love support classes. I love interconnectivity and interdependence amongst players. But I don't think that I played the Bard for a while, too, in my raid guild in Rift. And honestly, that was one of the worst designed souls ever made in Rift until they did the revamp. Because it was just a spam class. Like, all you did was spam and spam and spam. Go more of a Guild Wars 2 model, but go a lot bigger. You know, if I'm a support class, like you said, make it action-oriented. But let me still be able to buff other players and let our, interdependence and strategy work together. You know, I know in PlanetSide 2 we have a lot of things where we'll run certain strategies where certain classes will go into a building, others will stick behind, stuff like that. And we'll stack our maxes and our engineers behind them, and our engineers are supporting the maxes, but they're still in a highly combat role. I think there's ways to do this in an MMO that we haven't really seen before in a fantasy setting. And I really want to see that with EverQuest next proper and more games going forward. Just me.
No, Vanguard had a little bit of that I think it was underutilized and underappreciated, where if you attack something that you could put a debuff on it, like it was bleeding, okay? So you hit it with your rend and it causes a bleeding wound, and so it would get a debuff that was called bleeding, and it didn't do any damage to the creature over what the ability actually did. But then another cast would have an ability that had that would take advantage of a disadvantage. I mean, I know that's not a class that is talking specifically about buffing and debuffing, but a class that was like, hey, I have, making classes interdependent and creating some synergy.
That's like EQ tried that, Vanguard tried that. Both failed quite badly at it because half of the players didn't understand the system. The other half were min-maxers and knew like, well, I pretty much only need the bleeding effect when I'm a paladin, and the rest of the players just don't care. So, like, it was only that and the warrior that actually needed to utilize those. But that, in my opinion, was a pretty fair attempt at moving further away. Well, no, building upon what people call the Holy Trinity and getting more class dependency. Because certain classes could only apply bleeding effects, and other classes could only exploit the bleeding effects. And it's the same with the ability wheel in EQ2. They were all pretty decent ideas, and I loved certain rate encounters in EQ2 that actually required you to complete the ability wheel, but it was always underutilized. And in theory, it sounds really fun. It sounds really fun that you need a bard to do something, and then I can do something with my class. But it needs to be so specific that, like, if the bard does something, I get a notification, I can now do this. But at the same time, if there's another class in the group that can do something of that as well, that creates an issue, because you're both racing for that condition, or the person in your group is an idiot and doesn't know that like he shouldn't be using his, but should be using yours. So one of the issues that I found very annoying in Guild Wars 2, where they try to do the same thing, you put a fire on the ground and you shoot an arrow through it, and the arrow gets a fire effect. Half of the time you do not notice what is going on. And the other half of the time, it's not really important. So when you build something like that, which I can imagine takes quite a bit of resources and like time investment, you need to make sure that it has an impact on your game, and that players are aware of it, and that it needs to be strong enough to actually be fireable. If all those conditions match, then in my opinion, you have a pretty solid addition to your combat system, which adds more depth, which is what a lot of players are looking for, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Dave Mark, real quick. Dave Mark made a point that in Team Fortress 2, there's 9 classes, and they're all different. And to be successful, you need a balance of all of them. And he said, however, the combat model doesn't dictate what each class must do at every time. And I completely agree with that, because if you've ever played Team Fortress 2 and you've had a good team, there's at least one person of every class playing.
It's a very good point, because I think MMO games and developers, but also players, can learn a lot from shooters in general, because there's a lot of action and decisions being made in shooters that someone who's never played a shooter will just not understand that. Even something as basic as positioning, which is only coming into MMOs to begin with, is like
real
just
quick.
scratching the surface.
I know, but real quick, Sony, please, no hats. No hats. No hats.
No, I want hats.
All that.
It's too late, man. They've already sold the capes. We're kind of
They've already... Listen, that's all we're going to get now is hats.
Hey, I want a dwarf that has like a really wide-brimmed hat and like a flowing cape with a lute, okay? I want him to have like a twirly mustache and everything.
That would be awesome.
But all this goes down to the AI in this case. You know, you say get rid of the Holy Trinity, but you say you want support classes that... I say that I want support classes that can do damage well and all interconnect well together. But this just has to do with the AI, really. I mean, when you have a limited mob and a limited strategy to take it down, of course it's not going to be like an FPS. Of course it's not going to be like a strategic PvP match. But that's what they're striving to do with the new AI with EQN, is create it to where it could be another player technically playing that AI. You know, it changes on a dime depending on what's going on in the situation. And that makes the characters adapt the same way. It creates an interesting conflict where you're challenged, hopefully all the time. And honestly, I'm really excited to see it in action. I wish they'd stop teasing it so much and maybe give us a little glimpse, but maybe we'll be able to see that a little later this year.
One last thing, because I think we're going to move on. I just want to say, I think at the end of it, I just want to say that everybody here, and I don't think anybody disagree, I think at the end of it, all we want is that we want to see a game that's got innovation, and at the end of the day, at least be fun. Because if the game's not fun, then there's no point in playing it. I mean, you can make all the innovations you want, and if it's not fun, there's no point in any game.
Definitely.
So, as long as the game's fun.
Completely agree.
And there's a difference between fun and, like, fun. Like, when I play Dark Souls, I have fun, but I don't have fun in Dark Souls. Like, I die and get really frustrated.
But you don't
Such a casual.
But when I play Terraria, I have fun. That's just pure fun. So there's
hold up. Did you praise the sun before you played? Drink like a gallon of Sunny D before you play that game.
Maybe that's what I
Raise
should
your
have done.
arms.
Yeah, you drink a gallon of Sunny D in the name of Wilfred Brimley, get diabetes, and then go play that game.
I would.
We shall play together with jolly good cooperation and everything.
Sounds good.
Dark Soul combat and difficulty in an MMO would be really refreshing to me.
It would be really cool. You're right.
Add permanent death. Add permanent death.
No,
like,
oh my god.
That difficulty.
Perm
that
death does
combat
not work
system,
in an
and
MMO.
preferably a little bit of a better PC port, like a little bit.
Dark Souls 2 is going to be made, according to what Chad said, is going to be made on PC first, so hopefully.
Yeah, we've heard that before. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'll see it before I will believe it. very skeptical PC gamer at the moment.
But if I
Okay.
may,
Go for it.
if I may drop my topic on you guys, when you I'm assuming all of you have played many an MMO. I assume. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And when you first make your character, and you see what's ahead of you, you see the max characters running around the main city, you see everything else. What do you think? What is your first thought when you see your MMO? Like, you bought the box, installed it, everything else. What is your thought? And what are you going to do in that game?
When I see like a max level character.
I'm sorry, miss, say that one more time for me.
So you were talking about like logging in, you've made your character, right, and you log in and you see them. Are you talking about like what I think of when I see somebody else with a max level character, or just like what am I thinking in general?
Yeah, what are you thinking in general? Like, what, as soon as you make your character, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
How pretty of armor can I get, and does it look real or does it look fake? It's so cosmetic and insignificant. It's not about the level of the armor, but does the armor look nice? Does the armor look real? Because if it doesn't, it I don't know. I'm really judgmental, I guess. EQ2 has it right. Their armor is absolutely phenomenal looking. It's one of the things that I really love about that game. Is the armor. So yeah, it's armor.
I rarely jump into an MMO without at least 2 or 3 other people that I'm planning on playing with. So normally, and I guess this is why I play a healer when that class is offered, is because it's like, okay, well, where are we going? What are we doing? And I follow, I let them, I run around, they run around and I heal them. And that's usually how the first couple of, hours in a new MMM go for me.
Yep, he's healing, I'm tanking, and how pretty is my armor?
For me, my excitement's on the guild level typically when it comes to an MMO. I'm always on the ramp up sort of thing when it's an MMO I'm looking forward to, like EverQuest 2. I hung out with like Legion of Light, big guild pre-launch. We talked all the time. We had a strategy. Rift, I was with the Acolytes when we jumped into Rift. And it's all about securing those guild firsts. That's what I enjoy the most. Logging in, rushing with your guild mates to complete, to get the guild made first on the server, to go on your first raid. It's all that stuff that I really enjoy. Group, like Talon said, and adventuring, but with a little more competition behind it, I think.
I just want to add that one of the things that I'd enjoyed about being in a large organized group is definitely the things that you can accomplish with the larger groups.
And with Caliber and Flatus, I want everyone to answer, because it's the question. The main question is the mentality that people have. So I guess we can go with the order of the streams of Caliber. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, sir.
No, you pronounce it actually better than chat does. So maybe we can replace chat and
Whatever.
That's not hard.
Whatever. What's your name, Calbeer?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's fine. Actually, you, like I said, you pronounce it actually quite good. First thing is, I log in. I stress about getting my name, which is pretty important to me. So guys, don't steal my name.
So stealing your name.
It's so stealing my name. Next thing is get to level 10 or whichever ridiculous level requirement they set to get the guild started. Like, why? Why do I need to
like
collect
level
10
20?
gold and
What? I know,
level
it's
to
so
10
much
to
money.
get a guild started for 60 people? Like, come on.
Yeah, that's...
And then it's usually just like launch time is the best time of the year, because it's about the only time when you have 23 people or so online at the same time playing for 24 hours, 36 hours straight, and then crashing and then back the next day, because most of my friends actually take time off for launch day.
Yeah.
So it really is the best time of the year. And then for me, the last few years, it's pretty much been, sadly, I have to say, let's just get this over with, because like either the character was already wiped or we've already seen it. So let's just get it over with, get to a point where we can enjoy the game, and then the enjoyment starts. Which I say, it's sadly, but that's basically the way MMOs work these days. Like if you enjoy playing open beaters or whatever, you're gonna have to do some stuff that you already did before, which I'm fine with. But it is kind of like that thought that you have, like you say, it is, well, let's just get this over with. Let's just play the next 36 hours and just enjoy the rest of the game. So that's the honest answer.
And finally, Flatus.
I just try to log in and make sure there's bacon in the game. There's bacon. I rage quit. I flip tables. I'm out.
You have
Just
the
kidding.
best priorities.
In all honesty, though, I log in and I get my name and I create my character and I start. Honestly, I go into a game with hopes of having fun, and if I have fun, that's the most important to me. I just log in and start having fun, and to me, it's logging in with my friends and the community that we have here at EverQuest. At EverQuest, here at EverCast, the community that we've grown. I would love to, like I said, and I said this before. I like day one. I would love to just log in on a server with my co-host and Andorin and Legendary Neurotoxin and Sfix and everybody. Everybody in the chat. I would love to log in with the game with all you. I'd start a guild, whatever, and just play the game with each other. I think that, to me, I think day one would be so much fun. Is just playing with everybody and having a blast in a game that we are talking about and just finally get to experience with one another. I think that, to me, I play everyone kind of like, I'm a big like feely type of person, so I think that's more important to me, is like the interactions we get together as people.
I draw the line at feely. I'm sorry. But if you want to hang out in game, I'm totally fine with that.
But overall, though, your guys' mentality is that I'm hoping and that I have to get to the max level. I have to get to that part of the MMO to enjoy myself, correct? That you need to find that one thing that's going to make you enjoy it, but it's down the road when you start, right?
No, not for me.
No, it's getting down the road. It's getting down the road. That's the fun part for me. Once we get there, it gets boring.
I've been playing Vanguard for 6 years. I still haven't hit max level.
Let me say this. Yeah,
it took me 6 years to reach max level in EQ too, honestly.
Let me say this, that the journey is often more rewarding than the destination.
Yeah.
But my question is, are you tired of the questing for you? I mean, are you tired that when you log on every day, it's nothing but, when you first make your character, okay, to get to my journey here, to get to my end or get to my goal, I must level, I must acquire this, I must do everything else. And normally now, from what I've seen, then a lot of MMOs, especially for me, I just don't like leveling anymore. Before, I was like, yeah, max level, get the raid, get to everything else. But now that I feel that I've spoken to like multiple people in BWC and other sort of groups, like, what do you do? And it usually comes down to get to that level of the game that is farther down. It must be acquired by gold or by levels or by your parents. And also, Miss, if you've ever played Champions Online, that would be the perfect game for you, because you can make your character however you want. I don't know if you played it or not, but that would
DCUO has a good character creator too. I haven't played Champions.
Not compared to Champions.
Really, I haven't played Champions. I need to try it out.
Let me be blunt about the thing that I really genuinely deeply despise about MMOs. Really, it's Warcraft that I see it the most in, and I love Warcraft, so I fucking hate dailies. I don't ever want to see another daily in my life again. I do not like dailies. I will not do dailies. I refuse to do dailies. I don't care how nice the reward is. I will not do another fucking daily ever again. I don't mind leveling. Leveling is fantastic. I will not do a daily. ever.
Miss, we have the same mentality because my guild got onto me every day going, do your dailies, Zoran. I mean, you're not doing Top Gear and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want to do these because actually...
My response to
Like-
my guildies when they tried to convince me to do dailies was either you take me as your healer without my dailies, or you can stick it and go find a fucking thug to do it, because I'm not doing it.
Like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a moment
I love
And
that Flatus
say-
is dying over there.
and say, like, how
Pull
I will
back,
trade
Cal.
it
Pull
up.
back.
The shields are up. Don't go in. It's a trap.
It's a trap!
like I share the hate of dailies, and like they're most of the time poorly done. Like you see the same dailies pop up every single day, and every time it's the one you despise, and like you calculate I need another 50 days to like get enough faction to get here. I've been there. I've played Vanguard when those changes came live, and we had to grind 27,000.5k 5 times. Like I fully understand the hate of dailies, but like at the same time I also understand like how on earth are we gonna keep you guys busy until like our developers catch up, until the next wave of content arrives. Like
Yeah.
that is something that like when the industry solves that and there's a good fix for that, and either what I hope it's going to be is it's like we as a players get much more control over the content that gets created. Like if you have say I'm convinced that a large portion of communities are perfectly willing to only create content if that is at their feet. But like those tools need to be created to a point. They need to be developed, and that is something that companies need to be able to jump into. But when we get to that point, dailies will be done. Until that point, like some form of repetitive content or grinding will still always need to be done. But I think the entire approach to dailies is such a bad light, bad PR, that even the fact that if you would like have the grind experience is less of a annoyance factor than just like, oh, here's a quest, you can do it every day, have fun.
My thing's extremely
really-
long-winded, but like my thing's extremely long-winded. So whenever you guys are done, it might take a while.
I was just gonna say that I don't mind the grindy nature of faction and rep, and you know, go into this dungeon and kill so many things to gain the rep. That doesn't really bother me. But oh my god, do I have to pick any more stupid pink turnips? Do I need to go ask the stupid fish guy what I should plant today? One more effing day in a row? I mean, really? Just for them to yeah, no, please. No more dailies. No more, yeah, that's a really ranty thing for me. I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
I'm sort of the same way. Just because the grind, I've fun in games that have dailies that are well made. But like you said, when I got to like my Rift dailies, since I didn't play World of Warcraft, my Rift dailies, they were really terrible. It was like, go run these 3 dungeons over and over again, go do this quest over and over again, and then get these tokens, and you know, save up these tokens forever. And a lot of that has to do with horizontal progression and in-game, you know. Because the in-game is so static, and because content takes so long to be produced, you kind of have to have something, an artificial wall for players to have something to play, and that challenges them to get to that next level. So hopefully EverQuest Next, you know, there's no real horizontal progression, or there's no vertical progression is what has been said. Procedural content is where I will add on to Callboer, who says player-generated... Riptide Orbital, sorry. Callhat said player-generated content would be the answer. I also say procedural content will be the answer, because there's a lot you can do with procedural content, especially when it comes to voxel-based games, and I think we will see that soon.
I really hope Dave proves me wrong on this, and like the rest of the people that are working on the AI. But I really do not think that either procedural or AI will keep me busy in a way that it eventually doesn't feel the same way as I'm running the same quest over and over. And like I say, I really hope that I'm wrong. I'll be happy when I'm wrong, but that would be so innovating that would be the next step in gaming, and I don't think that EQ Next will bring that. And
You
that's
don't?
That's just
So
a
you think they've
skeptical
just
gamer
been
in me.
teasing? Because that's what they've
No,
been saying.
no,
That's
like,
coming. You just don't
I-
think they're gonna follow through,
No,
or they're not gonna quite reach the level that they're saying they're going to reach.
Overestimate like what hype they're building, and that's just me being honest. But I think constantly teasing about AI
Dave
is
Marks,
a very dangerous thing to do, especially when like I'm seeing their procedural content in like Starbound and Minecraft. When I play that for 100 to like 500 hours, I see the repetition, and when I see the
luckily this will be
repetition, I
recorded.
draw the same lines to like repeatable quests.
I hope we get to publicly shame you one day for saying
I
this.
will be
I pray.
ashamed.
Because I'm sort of on the hype train when it comes to this. You know, I put a lot of faith into the guys and their idea, and I understand that even if it is emergent, there still has to be, you know, a certain amount of variables that are ticking, and then when is the repetition going to occur? But I have a lot of faith that it comes with the massive numbers. You know, it comes with the critical mass. Even if there are only a limited number of variables that can play out between a couple NPCs, when you add thousands of NPCs and then rallying calls and then procedurally generated worlds, that it all sort of expounds upon each other and creates so many experiences that repetition is very unlikely to occur. So that's my thought on that, and I hope that's what's going to happen when it comes to EverQuest Next. So, man, I can't believe you said that. All right. Someone else take the mic. Someone else go, Zoran.
Yeah, if I may. Main reason I asked you guys what your initial thoughts was because of that journey when you get to the whole end part. But that journey, and when you get to that end part, that journey when you get to that end, and that end is nothing but dailies and your weekly dungeon that you've seen 1,000 times and everything else. What I want from EverQuest Next is an adventure. Now, what I mean by the adventure is that when I log in, I want to just go down a road. Like, say if I'm going to town to the other town, that's like, I don't know, another way, or like across the continent or whatever, and I need to get there to meet up with a friend or something else. I mean, of course, variables might apply to where the distance and all the timing and how much of an adventure I can have. But let's say that I start leaving town. I just logged in. I'm like, I want to go to this town. I got to sell some stuff or something. And I start walking down. I want orcs to invade me. I want to find a nice, peaceful Trin who's looking for his acorn, and I need to just look around the forest. But then I learn a goblin has it, so I take the acorn and give it to him, and he thanks me and gives me an item. But apparently that item is owned by the orc war chief, and because I hold this item, I'm hunted the entire way to that town. And when I meet up with my buddy, I'm like, hey man, these orcs have been like chasing me because of this thing, and I don't know what it is. And there might be an NPC or a lore hero that I might want to go to, give it to the hero, and like, what is this? And like, oh, this is a very powerful relic. I don't know how you came across this. And then it's like, well, this orc has been getting after me, and it might be actual lore intensive orc or ogre or some evil lich or something. And I might get a quest from that lore person, like, you need to kill that guy or he's going to hunt everything down, burn every village that you have ventured to, and it's going to be all on you, so you better go kill that guy. And I have to take my buddy and everything and go straight to that lich and kill it. I want an adventure. I do not want a quest. I do not want to have to walk up and go to a guy and like, okay, how many apples do you want today? Just make it quick. I'm wearing full plate armor. I have a dragon's tooth strapped upon my back, and I'm here just picking freaking apples so I can raise my bar. I do not want to pick freaking apples.
You don't want to deliver love letters to the...
Tamlin has a rant about
Yeah.
this, about writing love letters as a warrior or paladin. Why? Why do I have to run your effing love letter? You go run your sissy ass over there and deliver the stupid love letter yourself, because I'm a warrior. I don't give a rat's ass.
And I have mentioned many a times, hey, can you go talk to that guy there for me? That guy right there. He's 2 feet from me, but I need you to go talk to him.
One of these, I would love to be able to pick that guy up and be like, sure, I'll go talk to him. Come on.
I want to go chop off that guy's head and be like, hey, this guy wanted to talk to you.
I'm sorry, are we allowed to curse, or are we friends?
Yeah, we are.
It's after hours, and I've had the potty mouth going. I'm really
like,
sorry.
Basically, as for fun characters for like Elder Scrolls, I'd like to make an orc called Orky the Orc. because that's a physical decay. And one thing I've always wanted to do is that I go up to a guy who has that, like an old man, like, I need you to talk to my grandson over there. And I'm like, he's literally on the chair right beside you. He's like, but you're an adventurer. You have plate armor and everything. And you just get so frustrated, like, Orc in the Orc, no like this. And you just pick him up and you beat a motherfucker with another motherfucker.
I swear to God, it's like we've got 2 Flavises on the
Can
show
we-
tonight. What the hell is? I need voices.
Can we,
your
like-
best old man voices? Come on.
Can we have like a dialogue between Flatus and Bear, and just like Flatus plays the little girl and Bear plays whatever he wants?
Hello. Yes. I'm down with this. I'm down with
Boy,
this.
little girl,
My
the old
dog.
man.
Oh.
Old man.
But I don't know.
over there.
Well, back in my day, I killed 5 dragons in my lifetime, you whippersnapper. You're only 2 years younger than me.
I used to be an adventurer, and then my wife left me, and then I have no more adventuring to do.
Took an arrow to the knee.
I'm trying to avoid the arrow to the knee. Trying to avoid it so much.
But I don't know how much more time we have, but
5
it
minutes.
sounds like someone is punching someone to death, but I can't see.
Those are my dogs
Oh,
and their big
okay.
fucking tails because they're so excited right
But
now.
They heard me laughing.
I agree with Zoran. I want an adventure. Like I also want to explore the world of Nora. Like I want to like get lost in that world and have there be things to find and secrets to like. To me, that is so like watching some of the, like the old EverQuest dungeon videos. Like some people just go back in there at high levels and go back, oh, there's a secret panel behind this wall and stuff. Like I'm like, oh, I love that. I love secret pants. Show me there's a secret panel.
Swear to
I'm
God,
sorry,
you just
though.
said secret pants. Oh my God.
There's my
I'm sorry,
secret
though.
pants.
Oh my Lord. If I could just jump in super quick. I'm so glad you brought this up because we honestly haven't talked about like a life of consequence or EQN proper in a long time. It's been sort of landmark train just as it has been for the developers lately. But a lot of people forget that this is what they're pushing for, is this adventure. I know we had our rants in the beginning where we'd go on just like you, Zoran, and we'd be like, we hate this, and we hate that, and we don't want this. Apparently, we still do it, as Kai showed us earlier. But it's so true. I look forward to adventuring. I look forward to going out and always finding something new. I think that's what procedural generated content has. Whenever I go into Terraria, I have so much fun. And it's because I just pick up this game. I had no idea what it was. People just recommended it. And me and my friend jump in. And all of a sudden, we start digging. And then one thing leads to another. And, oh, we lost our items one night. So we spend 5 hours just trying to get back to our items. And on that, we discover something new. That's a hell of a lot of fun. And I really hope we get that sort of experience in an MMO. Because that's very hard to come by. And
we don't have a lot of time left, right?
Go ahead. You're good.
No, let the bear finish.
Okay. I just didn't know if we were set on time, but if I can try to make it short, of the things that NeverQuest Next needs, it definitely needs these things. Not like something like, oh well, I kind of want this. No, it needs to happen. First thing is, well, this could be more of a want really, that player run markets. You guys have played Star Wars Galaxies, I assume?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I'm not sure. I have never got to play it because I was a very poor kid at that point. Still am probably, but I never understood on how that worked. But I would like something that when I walk into the major cities, because I remember them saying we want the players to build the main cities and everything and own their own plots. I want player-owned plots in player-owned sections in the cities. I want players to be able to go up to a plot of land when it's first starting out and go, I want to rent this plot, and they have to rent it because that'll put in a system where if they leave for like super long time and never come back to the game, it opens up for others, or they run a business or something like that. It helps it cycle through. They can buy that house and customize their shop to however they want. That's up to SOE standards. I'm talking about EverQuest Next, not Landmark here. Landmark be all community run, but With Next, have players actually there or actually have an NPC which they have to make the items, make everything else in that shop, and start to gain currency from it. Where, like, say if I sell flowers or whatever, and there's ability or like herbalism or something to go around and get flowers. While I'm adventuring through the land, I'm getting all these neat flowers. I go deep into the earth and I find this really rare flower or something. I can go back to my shop, or I buy this from friends who are adventurers or my guild mates who find this, go, hey man, here's some flowers or whatever. You can just pay me 1 gold for getting it for you. But here you go. Here's some for your stock, and you put that in. Make a merchant class. Make something that goes no combat, no nothing. A class to where you are purely in a social or economy driven market or job economy or whatever side of the game. Everything in our MMOs are centered around combat. We need to kind of break from that right now. Everything is not freaking Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings, like, you don't need to center on combat. Everyone likes to be in the shield wall and bash through and kill the dragon, kill the Dark Lord, and raise his head upon your house. People like that, but at the same time, people like the whole downplay. Everyone likes being that merchant. The game Reciteer is a good example of that. People love that game. People absolutely love being a merchant to those adventurers. And in that game, you play the adventurer, but your merchant is going around with the hero. Say if you are the merchant class and you own a plot in your guild is going to go for a raid. You go to a raid like, hey man, I need to come with you so I can take some items there as well. I need it for my stock. And it's going to be a Christmas sale, and I need this like really awesome Christmassy looking flower in this dungeon. Can I please go with you and everything? You bring them along, because assuming raid slots, it's not really much of an issue, or everyone could just go willy-nilly, and you go and get that. Not to mention there should be dancers, there should be bards, who bards can do a whole, what's the Guitar Hero type style with their keyboards or whatever, and start actually playing music and allow a music system in there to where they can make some interesting music. Because if you've seen in Guild Wars,
they can do that in Lord of the Rings, can't they?
I'm not sure.
But there's a system, yeah.
But have bells now for Christmas and stuff, and people can make some really awesome songs with those. Just like 1 through 4, they have made some amazing songs. They can tune it up and down as well, make it like really high, really low, and they've come back and they've done amazing. You can just look up videos right now. Like, it would be very simple to do, and actually put some work. And you can go in deploy mode or whatever, and have a hat down in front of you, and people can just kind of throw gold at you if they really appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I have more stuff to say, but I don't want to keep everyone here all night.
Actually, someone in the chat had a question. If we all want to spend like 30 seconds just super quick answering it, just because it's a good one. It says, I have a question for the EverCast team from Katona. Sorry if I mispronounced that. What kind of synergy do you hope is between EQN and EQNL? Maybe we could just run down super quick before we end the show. Anyone want to lead that off? Once again, that's the synergy between the two games. What would you like to see?
You know, I actually really honestly haven't given it a whole lot of thought. Because in this, like, I'm not thinking about EverQuest Next, because there's not even a release date for it, if I'm not too badly mistaken. I mean, like, what, 2015, 2016? We don't
Probably
even know
15,
what year
yeah.
it's going to come out for sure. So frankly, I haven't given that particular game a whole lot of thought. And on top of that, I kind of haven't really thought I was going to play it. I want to play Landmark because I get to build, but EverQuest Next is not necessarily on my, oh my god, I want to play this list. So there's personally no expectation of synergy at this time. But if I change my mind, I'll let you know.
Once she sees that first demo, she's going to be like, oh my god, I see it again.
You know
She's
what?
a very visual person like me. I am too.
He's totally right. I had quite a bit of doubt about EQN and EQNL, and when I was wrong, I tweeted out an apology to Sony for it. So
I go ahead. I've talked too much.
I mean, for the relationship between the two of them. I mean, the first time I am either part of a group, or I am personally responsible, or I merely walk by a building in Landmark, and then later on while I'm playing EverQuest Next, and I see that same building that someone built, I'm going to be ecstatic. Especially if I know, like, the story of that went behind it. Like, if it was a group effort, like, oh, hey, I remember that's the building that guild whatever guild. I remember them talking about building that thing, and then I remember seeing them finish it. And now look at it; it's in EverQuest Next because it's that good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say the same. I don't really want any interconnectivity other than buildings be able to go back and forth after SOE dev approval. That's it. Call, Flatus, Zoran?
I mean, I'm letting them talk first.
Zoran,
All hail
waits.
the giant table. I don't know. I guess for me, I'm not like, if I can just copy my house over, like just something quick, that'd be kind of cool. I'm easygoing. and unless I see more, like for right now, I just want to be able to like copy like what I've done in Landmark over to like not like the land and stuff, but just at least my house.
What exactly was the question?
Just what kind of synergy do you want to see between the two games?
I want to see Landmark as a tool to get EQNext built. So if it's just that, I'd be happy with that. Like, let me go into Landmark to build my house, build my guild house, go crazy, do creative stuff, work on like what EQNext future content will be, whatever, have contents like that, and then let EQNext be the proper MMO that I can sink my adventure time in. But it's a curious idea because like Landmark is going to be so much more.
Yeah. And Zoran?
I'm probably at this point. I believe everyone's gonna hate me because I don't like Landmark at all. I really
it's your opinion.
don't.
No worries.
Don't hate
We don't
you.
hate you.
I mean, the problem is that, I mean, of course, it's more of a personal thing. Everyone loves Minecraft and everyone loves, like, all those building games. Terraria, Minecraft, I hate them. I cannot stand them because with Terraria, I try to do the whole adventure thing, like, let's go and kill the bosses and let's go see what's over here. And everyone's all like, no, I want to build a big snowman out of stone. And I'm like, fine, I'll help. And they were doing nothing but digging the entire time. Minecraft's the same thing. Everyone just wants to build and everything else. Like in Minecraft, I want more of a survival experience. Like, oh crap, I gotta get food real fast or anything. Even on hardcore, I just find like a village area and I just sit in there and I live forever because there was no way for me to die because they do everything and I just steal their food. In the synergy for Landmark and EverQuest Next, only thing I want from Landmark to EverQuest Next is just the buildings. I don't want anything. I do not want it to touch anything. But at the same time, it's going to be forcefully synergize or compete with each other depending on what Landmark offers. Now, when I heard that combat was going to be in Landmark, that scared me a bit because now you're competing with EverQuest Next. With combat inside Landmark, the main thing, like the main driving force for me is to have community-driven stuff, which is the buildings and stuff, and my idea of having merchants in the cities and stuff in EverQuest Next. Once you put combat in there, EverQuest Next is now useless to me because I'll just go to Landmark, equip a sword and shield, and just fight for people. Become a mercenary to be the guy like, yeah, you just gotta get you just mine everything and I'll fight for you. And people will start creating their own cities, start creating their own roads, and they'll start buying plots. There might be government put in place if people want to go that far, like in Terra. Sadly, the US Terra doesn't have it, but the Korean one does. And the problem I'm seeing right now is that if they start adding combat into Landmark, it's going to really compete with EverQuest Next. Because, of course, EverQuest Next is going to have like different races, more cosmetics and stuff like that. Because there's not going to be dwarves in Landmark, so that's an instant no-win to me. There's no dwarves, so 0 out of 10. Not game of the year for me. Because I'm going to be a dwarf.
Real quick, I'll take a cue from Cal and play devil's advocate. I think that the combat will be something that we'll see in EverQuest Next, like just the bars and how combat should work, like the simplistic 5 abilities or whatever it's going to be. But as combat in that game is going to play out, I think it's going to be something similar to like Minecraft, where there's going to be mobs, but the mobs are they're not questy type. Like, you're not going to see an orc. I think you may see spiders, and you won't see drag. I know you'll see spiders, and you may see like a cave bat and something like that, but you're not going to see like a dragon flying around. I know I could be wrong, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think SOE's gonna blow their load on landmark with mobs. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to keep it super simple, just give you a little bit of a challenge, kind of give you a little taste for EverQuest Next. And
that's what I hope too as well.
I
really don't want it.
They say EQ Next is the narrative experience. That's what's made by them. That's the narrative experience. Landmark's sort of the players build it, players do it. So I wouldn't expect them putting too much story behind it or any too ridiculous of mobs either. I'm with you guys there. But we're totally out of time, so we should all say our goodbyes real quick.
Bye, guys.
And thank you very much for joining us, Zoran.
2 weeks.
Before we wrap things up, just I want to point out to everybody that now that we have this whole on-call, this was the test run for it. It seems to work really well. So in the future, we should be able to drag people onto our podcast with relative ease. Details forthcoming.
Yeah, very, very easy. Don't forget, guys, Alpha is supposed to start by the end of this month for people who are trailblazers, which I am unfortunately not yet, but maybe I will be soon. Highly doubt it. I need money.
I'm not either. It's okay.
Yeah, it stinks. Also, they will be doing their SOE event. Keep an eye out for the SOE livestream Wednesday. You can count on all of us pretty much being there in chat, or at least watching quietly. And we'll tweet it out. Also, we are back on in 2 weeks, which is the 26th, I believe. So be sure to join us again on the 26th of this month, and y'all have a wonderful night. Zoran, do you want to count us out?
I could probably do something different. When I
no, we have to camp. We have to camp out.
We have a tradition.
Okay, I'll still count you out. Was it like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
No, it's camping, and then we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, really, it should be like 15 seconds, 20 seconds. I don't even remember.
Oh, I was gonna radio voice you out.
Oh, that's fine too. Go ahead.
Okay. No phone. Go away.
Now that was a great one.
Someone trying to call me.
How dare you call him?
Anyway, you are watching the EverCast podcast. Tune in next time when we talk about more stuff about EverQuest Next and EverQuest Next Landmark. We will see you on the next show. That's all I got.
That was great.
I love that.
Good, I like it.
Amazing.
That'll do it. Camping? We gonna do that now?